in archaeology, I mean, despite what the History Channel shows people, right, despite what some of the television malarkey is, the top archaeologists have not discovered Jerusalem, have not discovered any of the ancient places that are mentioned in the Bible. They have found little to no evidence of the so-called chosen holy people. Now, why is this important? It's because, look, how does it tie in with Michael Tsarion's work? If this guy is going out of his way to tell everybody that, look, of course you're going to find no evidence because these people were Israelite pharaohs of Egypt, who from the moment of their expulsion from Egypt have been, hiding their origins. These are recent concoctions. Every time that they dug down underneath, because archaeology always wants to date something by looking at what's underneath. That's traditional. But every time they've dug down under Caesarea, or every time they've dug down under where they say that these other places are, like Megiddo, or Petra, or any of these famous places all over the Middle East, especially in the Holy Land, don't you see there's dead silence, Henrik?
Yeah.
The very fact that they don't come forward and say, look, we found the actual foundations of the Temple of Solomon. Exactly. Hey, we found, the actual Temple Mount. We found Herod's castle. You never actually see anything coming forward, even on the Christian broadcasting networks here. Because every time they dig down there, they're finding stuff that cannot be shown to be Israelite, or what we're laughingly calling Jewish in origin. It's either Celtic or Phoenician, you see, or Egyptian, or some other race, like Etruscan. So the point being that if anyone who studied archaeology for 5 minutes, you're not going to find any Israelite citadels or cities or towns or villages or anything. They don't exist, because the whole thing is a myth. Who are the Knights of the Temple of Zion when the Crusaders went over to the temple so-called of Solomon? Solomon has nothing to do with any Jews. Solomon are the three names of the sun in the ancient world, meaning, again, it's the old Egyptian cults of the sun, is where the Templars went to be initiated by them and to be brought under their service. Because when these Knights Templars happened to be fighting the Crusades, I believe that they fell in with the cult of Aton. The cult of Aton, who has been having many power dynasties surreptitiously, I'm talking about under the cover, not openly in history anymore, because they couldn't work openly after they left Egypt. But they were an extreme money power in the Far East, as well as in the West. And therefore, I believe that the Templars met with these people. They were co-opted, and they were shown secrets. So when they say we were shown secrets under the Temple of Solomon, the Knights Templar writings say, we found gold and great treasures under the Temple of Solomon. Of course, all the mugs, all the Indiana Jones run out there with their spades, trying to find it's so preposterous, Henrik, it makes me almost want to pull my hair out. It's like, you're running out with spades, digging under the Temple of Solomon for a few coins. You think that that's the secret that they were telling you about? You're looking for the Ark of the Covenant. You think, you really imagine that there's a real physical thing? I mean, can we grow up a bit and realize that the temple that the treasure that they're talking about is not some pirate's treasure? It's a secret. Keeper of the royal secret. What royal secret that the 32nd and 33rd degree Freemasons are aware of? I'll tell you the secret. I've exposed it. That these people are worshipping the Christed one, the Saul kings from old. And that's why they're on their knees. And that's why all kings, the motto of all world Freemasonry. And you can see this motto not only in Freemasonic lodges, but you can see it on many courts. It's per me regnus regnat in Latin. And it means through me all kings will reign. Why has nobody in the research community and the conspiratorial movement asked the question, who's that me? When you see the New World Order banner at the bottom of the dollar bill, why doesn't people ask, who's New World Order? It's the New World Order of these Levitical, Hyksos, cult of Aton individuals, the true Yahwists. After losing Egypt, Henrik, they decided that nothing less would suffice their monomania and their egotism, that to have the whole world now become theirs. This is what I'm talking about when I say get into the mind of your rival.
Exactly.
Come them, think in your mind. Sit down and think, my God, how you would feel if you and your coterie were given the big finger. Out you go, and never come back here. And I'll ride my chariots over you, which is in fact what they had to do. Akhenaten eventually was killed, literally by Seti I. His chariots had to go and run over the guy because they were always trying to come back and infiltrate Egypt again. But you can imagine what the commanders and the great Atonist cult, why did Moses put up his brazen serpent in the desert? I'll tell you why, because it's pharaonic. He was a pharaoh. Moses was the pharaoh. their hatred of Egypt is why we don't read any of what we've been talking about for the last 40 minutes in the Bible. It's because after leaving, because a lot of people will say, well, wait a minute, how come this stuff is not in the Bible if it's real history?
Yeah.
It's because after the expulsion, these people became the greatest haters of Egypt and everything that was Egyptian. It's just like you being thrown out of a college. Won't you be sitting at the bar telling all your friends how horrible it was?
Yeah, of course.
It's the evilest thing in the world. When you were involved in it, when you were the secretary or the executive, it was the most wonderful thing in the world.
Yeah.
Then all your neighbors had to hear about it. Once you get booted out because you embezzled, then of course they were corrupt.
Yeah.
They're evil. They didn't understand you.
Of course.
Simple human psychology.
Yeah.
Well, magnify that many times so that you've lost the thrones of the greatest empire in the world.
Yeah.
The only thing that will now appease that inner shame is to set your designs on having the rest of the world that doesn't even have real true kings, and it's easy to overtake if you set your mind on it, really.
Yeah.
And that is what has happened. So the new world order is to replace the old world order, and that's why it's below an Egyptian pyramid. It's
Yeah.
to tell you what order, what God, what king, and why there's a wasteland around the pyramid. Around the pyramid on the dollar bill, you see just sort of like a wasted land. And that's the idea, that these were King Lears being thrown out of their land, betrayed, you see. So they always felt